Today, we're going to maybe not present a central idea as much. And the reason for that is I think there's a lot of topics that we want to kind of blend together. They do have a central theme, and you have to listen a little bit longer and watch a little bit longer to get what that is. But I think it's important. I think it's one of the starting places for all business owners and people in general on their journey. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the neuroscience and, we dabble into the minds, the psychology and stuff like that. And the common theme for all of that is it starts in your brain. It starts in your mind. And so that is going to be the central theme for today is it's about your brain. It's about your mind and your mindset.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And with that, we're back with another episode of Biz Meds. We're your hosts and neuroscience business coaches. My name is Saad.
And my name is Darius, and we're here to give you the minimum effective dose. That's why it's called Biz Meds, if you haven't figured that out yet. And this is really, our podcast is here to help you as business owners cut down time. And this isn't like floofy, new age woo-woo bullshit, woo-woo. This is born from in the trenches, scaling $30 million under 18 months, working with many, many clients, and really learning things that work and don't work that are going to help you give you like what is that minimum effective dose to help you scale if that's what you want to do. At the very least, you're going to come away with some really great tactics, techniques, tools, better tools to help you deal with yourself, deal with your team, deal with your company, and hopefully reclaim a lot of that life left.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll jump in. I think we were talking about how we were going to carve through this or kind of navigate through this. And I think, I'll just riffing off the top of my head is I watched a really interesting video, and it was Alex Hormozi and Tony Robbins. And if you don't know who either of those guys are, it's time for you to do some homework and pull your head out of the sand. And I will say, if you don't know the name Tony Robbins has been the forefront of kind of
one of the first.
Yeah, he's like one of the OG names in the, personal development, business development, like all things. How do you get leverage on yourself to improve and things like that? And, obviously, if you don't know who Alex Hormozi is, Alex has really come into his own in the last few years. And
I'd say Alex is probably like the new godfather of the new school of business.
Yeah, and I think he's making it even more accessible to more and more people out there and attracting more and more and younger entrepreneurs to the game. And he approaches it in just a really pragmatic way. And I will say, like, that episode, that video, just over an hour, was really profound in a lot of ways. As I watched it and seeing how someone like Anthony Robbins kind of talks to someone like Alex and kind of like almost breaks down some of those belief systems that, you almost have brought on for so long. Like you've crystallized or, you have these beliefs and values that have kind of like formalized over this period of time, and they're kind of your foundation to your character. And then it's so interesting to see someone like Tony Robbins come in and just kind of like deconstruct that a bit and challenge the way we view things. And I think that is probably where we are today with this episode is we're going to challenge your view on a few things to make sure that you are doing that work.
Exactly. And the really cool part about like Tony Robbins doing what he does is a lot of times what I find is that people that we work with come with this like preconceived notion on certain areas, and they're not willing to change their mindset. And he is at the age he is and at the, experience he's had, still open to learning, still open to challenging beliefs on how things have previously been to versus where they should be now, or how to incorporate and meld both of them to get the best possible result out of them. So it's just very interesting because, again, it further reinforces that mindset of, being a learner versus having that fixed, like, hey, this is the only way,
a lot of things are coming to mind as you're talking about that, because then it reminded me of all the different ideas that have been floating through my mind. And as you know, it's kind of happens. You have a session with a client, and then it's like, oh, okay, all of these things are coming up, and then you have another one, and at the end of the week, it's kind of like this debrief of the week of like, oh, what are some like common things, and like what separates these people away from from the rest of the people. And you say there was a couple things that you said, and then what it immediately brought back to me was yes, there's that fixed and growth mindset, like those are two different things. There's also this, to me, as I look at it, there's people who are ready to be coached because they understand
the value,
that they don't know everything. There's things that exist beyond what they know. And so they come with more of that openness, that willingness to be humble and to say, okay, like I can admit that, these are things. And as I look at that and I look at the clients, like, oh, wow, like that is a really common thread around that. And then, so what separates them? Well, I think it's to your point where so many people just believe a fixed thing, and they keep doing the same thing over and over, and they somehow expect it to be different. Mm-hmm. And that to me it's just madness. It's madness to think that, hey, it's like taking a piece of clothing, folding it the exact same way every time, and somehow expecting that when you fold it like that, it's somehow going to turn out differently. Mm-hmm. How does that work in your brain? But no one stops to question that. They continually just accept that as, oh yeah, for sure, I just expect something different, and it never happens. And then they look back at the end of their life and like, oh shit, they have all of these regrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you never did anything different. You never challenged yourself. You stepped out.
Yeah, to try something different, to change that behavior, or so before we get to, because I have a lot of opinions about that, I want to quickly, like, for our viewers, like, talk about that there are some things that you said this perfectly before when we were talking, was that there are some things that you have to keep doing the way that they have been done because they work that way. We've never used a gym example, so I'm going to use a gym example for the first time ever.
We've never said we've never used a gym example.
So to get stronger, bigger, and healthier, you need sleep, food, exercise.
Yes.
Sleep, food, exercise. Sleep, food, exercise. You can't really change that, but inherently, like, if you get deeper and deeper into it, yes, you can change your workouts a little bit. Yes, you can change your diet a little bit.
Yeah.
You can change your sleep a little bit to, like, maximize what it is that you're after. But overall, like, it is the three same steps.
It's the three-legged stool.
Yeah, exactly.
And funny enough, in that is, if you want to lose weight, well, you have to be in a caloric deficit. Like, you have to be in a caloric deficit. So you have to create enough movement that you're expending more, and you most likely have to consume less calories, right? So, like, that's just the law of, like, thermodynamics. You can't like suddenly, increase the amount of increase the amount of food you're eating and do the same amount and then, expect to lose weight. Like, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So, like, there's different leverage points within there that you can pull. And funny enough, when you look at those three legs of that example, right? So your rest, your nutrition, and your exercise, or whatever activity you're doing, right? Most people major in the minors, and they get so worked up about, oh my God, like, what is what's the optimal protein rate, and when should I time my protein?
What
Bro,
type of salad?
Like, well, first and foremost, what is your nutritional intake overall? Like, are you majoring in the minors? Are you spending more time worrying about things that don't actually move the needle versus fix that? And then, behind the neck press versus again,
you're
focus on the wrong thing. Is the optimal, do you do a drop set at the end? Yeah. Do you do, reps of 12 to 15 because I just want to get toned.
Yeah.
Again, majoring in the minors,
Yeah.
like completely wrong thing to be looking at, but you've convinced yourself because you've been hypnotized by all of this other information that can perpetuates out there. Why? Because it fucking feels good.
Mm-hmm.
We get overwhelmed with shit that kind of feels good. Like, oh, it plays to that affirmation bias that we talked about within the AI episode, right? It's like, oh yeah. And so it doesn't challenge us. It just feeds the narrative that we already believe. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh yeah, oh, that's obviously a thing. And we go in blindly and we don't ever question those beliefs. And so I take it back to the Alex and Tony conversation where Tony questions the belief of, for Alex, it's the idea that success is suffering, mm-hmm. right? Like the passion is like having a passion is suffering, which is the original root of the word, if I remember correctly. Don't crucify me if I'm wrong on that. But I believe that was what, and Anthony was like, Tony Robbins is like, well, let's just switch the meaning that you have there, because he's like, I look at it very differently. It's like, for me, it's about the opportunity I get to. And so I celebrate that. I enjoy that because I get to participate in this. It's not about suffering. He's like, fuck suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you have to, be able to be willing to be challenged on that mindset.
And be open to listening to other opinions.
Right.
Before you immediately start guarding and having that ego to, be that barrier and that wall before it even gets through your brain. You're just completely knocking off ideas that would really impact or help you. Right?
Yeah. Well, you said it perfectly, like that ego.
Yeah.
And we go back to how many times, we continue, and there's a reason why we continually come back to these things, because they are foundational. Mm-hmm. Ego is the enemy. Right? Ego, with just running endlessly on passion, is the enemy, mm-hmm. right? And even Tony Robbins talks about having, bringing something bigger, that purpose mm-hmm. that you align yourself. It's the pull, right? It's the pull to help mm-hmm. you because he's like, listen, he's like, Alex, you demonstrate that you have more discipline, more grit, more push mm-hmm. towards your goal than anyone.
So this reminds me of, I don't know, I grew up on like maybe a TV show or a cartoon. I don't know exactly what it is, but this line always like sticks out to me whenever I have like these types of internal conversations with myself. It's the enemy is the inner me. It's like, and I can't remember where it's from, but it's like just constantly like this profound understanding that actually you are your own biggest enemy.
Yes. I mean, I think, is it Andy Frisella that calls it your inner bitch?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is the exact same thing. Yeah. It's your like internal, compass or whatever it is that is stuck in one area, and it's not looking at all possible opportunities or areas.
Well, I think it's the inner voice. It's the stories we love to believe and the narratives that we love to attach ourselves to. It's like something happens and we immediately suddenly jump like all these things. Oh my God, this person is out to fuck me over because mm-hmm. they did this, and this. And really if you detach yourself from it, it's like, here's independent situations that have now, our brain does a great job of they call it the accordion, where it just like joins them all and mm-hmm. slap them together and like, oh, there's a perfect little song. That's the story.
That's the story I'm going to tell myself.
Like that. And the narrative, then everything that we now perceive is filtered through that story and that narrative, and it just reinforces it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we continually come back to there where we don't challenge these underlying beliefs and assumptions. Mm-hmm. And so it just entrenches our mindset even more, just solidifies that mindset to be more resistant. And then funny enough, like in some areas of your life, you're super open, mm-hmm. right? You're super open to like taking feedback. Like, let's just say you're at work or whatever it is that you do, and you're at the business and you're like working with people, and one of your managers gives you some feedback. Like, oh, that's so interesting. You go home, and then your spouse, your partner says something. You're like, you immediately like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And then they get pissed off because like, whoa, hold on. You listen to these complete strangers about something, but I tried to help you with something and you completely blow it off. Yeah. Like, I think it's a good example of like how you can be in one situation, very open mindset, like mm-hmm. very open to things, and then like in a very similar vein, be very closed-minded to the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Just depending on the narrative.
So this is going to be a little completely off the side, but I have an example, exactly what, I experienced through like two different people. So my mom has been telling my dad that like salmon fish is like really good for his health. Like he should be eating more of that.
Yeah.
Guy doesn't listen. Then 2 weeks later, one of his friends tells him like, hey, have you like started incorporating salmon fish in your diet? Comes home and is like, tell my mom that, hey, we should start buying salmon fish for our like grocery shopping. My mom just like takes a pause and she's like, where'd you hear that one? And he's like, oh yeah, a buddy of mine was telling me about it. And it's like the same thing. People close to you will see something immediately and try to help you. But if you're not willing to listen and then you go outside, somebody that has zero attachment to you, zero like influence, zero anything, you'll listen to their advice and try to incorporate it. And it's just going back to what you were saying, like the quicker you can get to that point, it's in your benefit. It's in your benefit. Like regardless, you still get to that same result, but like how do you change your mentality to get to that same result and be willing to listen to everyone?
So a couple of things came out. I was laughing so hard because I could picture it, but also I've been part of that.
Yeah.
And I've been the one that has had someone be like, oh yeah, this would be really good, whatever. And then suddenly someone else says something, and unbeknownst to them, like it's your subconscious suddenly it has another data point.
Yeah.
And yes, the content might be very similar, but the context around that conversation is just enough that it tips the point and your brain is able to make these connections. Like, oh, that was like the missing piece, right? And you're like, okay, cool. That makes, and then you're really excited about it and you want to share it. I'm additionally laughing because the person that we both mutually know that was the foundation of how we met each other used to get very, very upset. Very upset that believe that, like even with other people would say something and they get so upset that they didn't listen to that person. And so I there's like so much mindset stuff all happening in this one environment where it's like, okay, the person that it's been said to, whether it was me or whoever, is like, understand now that like just appreciate what is happening from a neurological standpoint, right? From your brain, it's your subconscious takes another piece. It fits the puzzle. All of a sudden these connections light up. Oh, I have an aha moment, right?
Right.
Now the other person who gets really butthurt about it, it's the only way to, I'm not going to beat around the bush, right? You're getting butthurt over something because you didn't get the credit for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is that? It's your fucking ego.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You're this really, the story and the narrative now that you've wrapped around it to be like, oh, well, people don't value my opinion, or, well, okay, but what is your intention? Or what is like the reason that you're trying to do this? Like, are you genuinely trying to help someone, or do you just want to feel like you're fucking important?
The superiorness of it.
So like really interesting. That's why I laughed to that when you started, because I immediately thought of that.
Yeah.
And how all those situations, and then there's the other part where the people who can appreciate, like, oh, I've given a piece of advice. Oh, now you've been able to leverage that. It makes sense to you. I'm super happy for you.
That exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, because the next thing I was going to talk about is like flipping it on its head, where if you're constantly the person that's throwing out advice when somebody's not looking for advice, you're obviously wasting your energy, and you're creating a situation where you're going to be pissed off at people.
Yeah.
And then second, as the person receiving advice from somebody constantly, every single time,
when not asked for,
when not asked for, it becomes a bit of a weight on your subconscious. Like you said, you get to a point where you feel like, well, I'm going to talk to this person, and they're immediately going to try to correct everything that I'm doing wrong, try to correct everything that, I've thought that I made a good decision on, and it weighs and chips at your subconscious mind, being like, oh, I'm going to talk to this person, and they're just going to
so I'm going to disengage.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm going to pull back.
And then going back to like the AI as positive reinforcement, that's why it's taken away that whole like challenge mindset, because it just immediately tells you, like in the first sentence, that's a really good idea. They're so smart. I didn't even think of that. This is how it's a good idea. So that's what people crave a lot more of. And that's why when you talk to somebody that has no vested interest in your life, you've never talked to them, but the first time they give you that advice, your subconscious is not already to the brim with that person's advices.
Yeah. I will say
Does that make
this.
sense?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give a personal example of that and how it's impacted myself, and without really knowing it was happening in the moment. And I will say, like, just because, we talk about these things, but we are still subject to the exact same things. Before I go too deep in, I want to just remember the point that that originally kind of caught me was when you said, someone who always needs to kind of give their 2 cents, right? Yeah. So there is a phenomenal book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that is one of the key, like, these limiting behaviors that I realized that I was doing a while ago, right? Especially as a leader, or just trying to, in my effort to feel like I was providing value, I thought I needed to, like, always provide something. And what I didn't know was happening was I was alienating people, or people were just pulling back because, like, why do I bring something up in front of him? Because he always feels like he needs to fucking add something.
Yeah.
When sometimes you can just shut up.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was, and if you are wondering if you do these things, I would highly recommend What Got You Here Won't Get You There, because in terms of being able to highlight the things you don't know that you do, like, that is an excellent resource for that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that happens with that is, let's just say you have someone in your life that you feel that does that, right? And then I said, what's our natural, or I guess I would say, I'll speak for me, is that my natural reaction to that is it makes me withdraw more from that, because I'm like, well, what's the point of bringing things up if all this person ever does is try to just solution, and I'm not asking for, like, we're just having a conversation and suddenly you're just spewing the solutions at me, or like feel like you're talking down to me. And so as a result, I've had people like that. And at a certain point in my life, I was like, you know what? I did a thing where I was like, I don't have the bandwidth for this. And I would just start to remove those from my life. And then one of these people most recently reached out and honestly had no idea the reason why we didn't talk anymore.
Yeah.
And for a long time, my story, my narrative has been, well, this person has always done this thing. And I've really never questioned it. Like, that was the story. And someone would be like, well, you and this person used to be out and, like, talk all the time. What happened? I'm like, well, and then I would just repeat this narrative that I'd built up in my head. And when they reached out and they were genuinely wondering what had happened, I had to take stock. And you know what? I had to come clean with the fact and realize in myself that I had never even brought that up with that person. I'd never given our friendship the courtesy that it deserved and the honor our friendship deserved to have that conversation, to say, when this happens, this is what it does for me. And I allowed myself to get caught up in a narrative and a story that was bullshit.
Yep.
And so now, like, our friendship lost years because of a narrative and my unwillingness at the time to have an open and just honest conversation with someone about things that were going. Because the story I told myself wasn't the actual thing. He had no idea, like, his friend had no idea that this was going on, right? And for them, this is just the normal conversations. How would they know any different if I didn't bring it up? And never gave them the opportunity to do any different, or to change the way that was coming across, but I had assumed that they were coming from this negative place, or not assume, but I just built that up, that they became the additional kind of justification in my mind that this was a thing. And, you know, and I don't say that, the reason I share that story is because we are all subject to this in so many different ways. Like none of us is immune to this.
Yeah.
And we share these types of things because we want to be able to, like, for people to understand, like, you're probably doing this too. None of us is perfect. We're not here perfect, but we need to be also aware of when these things are taking place, when those mindsets are creeping in and actually causing us more harm and preventing us for, you know, being there to coach one of our people because we just think they need to be fired immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you need to fire that person.
Yeah.
And that was, for a long time, my default kind of starting position.
I'm sure people have seen those super, super corny videos where they place an object in such a angle that it looks a certain way to people sitting on the different, you know, spots. And it just builds their narrative around, like, this is what I know, this is what it is, and I will argue about this until the end of time, till they shift, like, the object, and they're like, oh, okay, I understand what's going on. And it's the same thing with the whole mindset, because, like, then your ego takes over, and it's backed by nothing but just, hey, this is the thing I know, and this is the truth, the only truth, and will always be the truth.
So bear with me, because I think this is the segue that we were talking before, and that feeds directly to quality of decisions.
Yep.
And the difference between those, right, where we just go along with the assumption of thing, and what we don't do is we don't question anything. And the quality of our decisions is based on the quality of data that we have. But if we've never questioned any of the data that we have or the information we have, we will continue to make very poor decisions.
Absolutely.
And again, that comes all the way back to the mindset or how we view things, right? And that is, are we even willing to question, and not even question others, but question our own judgment, our own motivations, the information that we have. Is it accurate? Do I have all of the information? So when I talk about, like, my de facto used to be, okay, I'm going to just fire this person. But then I was challenged to think about it differently, that, oh, have I fulfilled my responsibility in that relationship first and foremost? Have I exhausted everything at my disposal to help and support this person? And if I haven't, then I have been derelict in my duty. I have not fulfilled my end of the bargain, because it is my obligation, is my great opportunity to support someone. And if they don't participate in that process, well, it's a very different thing. But I can hold myself to say, you know what? I can say I have done everything in my power. Or just like someone comes with I'm probably talking way too much. I apologize, but, like, there's just so many great examples or just so many examples where I can begin to relate this, where I've had many, I was talking with someone before about, you know, one of the contracts I was managing when I kind of came in, it was like over 50 union grievances that I was dealing with. And I was like, okay, so I started to get around them. And within, I think 3 to 4 months, I had it down to zero. It was zero grievances. Right. And part of the reason for that was, and then going forward, was had to kind of reestablish trust with our employees and kind of the framework, because the collective bargaining agreement was how we govern the relationship. But it's not like, oh, you work for the union. It's no, you work for the company, and we have an agreement, right? So we have a structure we need to navigate. But then there would be times where I would be brought a file for the potential for discipline, right? And in the meeting, I would have the shop steward there and the person, and we'd be reviewing everything. I would give them ample opportunity on the front to say, okay, I'm bringing you in on this day, talk to the shop steward, here's the information, here's what this event was, or here's the thing. So go do your due diligence, kind of like bring your part and everything like that. but there had been many times where I would actually, it looked from the file that I was handed from the operations managers and operations supervisors. Oh, okay, this looks like this is going to be like a very like open and shut discipline. Not a problem. Okay, cool. Get into the conversation and ask questions.
Yeah.
And suddenly the story changes. Oh, we didn't do our job. We didn't ask the right questions. We didn't look at all of the facts. And in that moment, I just tear up the disciplinary.
Yeah.
Right. But if you don't do that, but then that also like the level of trust that now builds with someone to demonstrate you are open to challenging the thing, and with your people, you are, more apt to even be that much better of a leader, and not only for yourself, but for your people.
Right.
Hopefully that made sense.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. It's
that quality of decision, right? Now you have to have an openness to be willing to challenge what you believe and your mindset, then ask better questions to make better decisions.
Yeah.
So I know we've gone long today.
No, this is perfect, because the thing is the topic that we were hoping to cover today was mindset and just like your inherent beliefs and how to challenge all of that stuff. So I think for me at least, maybe I was too close to the topic, but it felt like we kind of came in full circle on why things happen the way they do, why people are the way they are. And it's not bad. Us as humans are just naturally driven that way, just because, everybody has a limit. Everybody has like the bandwidth, mental bandwidth, the RAM, the computer usage. So the more tabs you have open in your mind, the less you're going to be able to actually do more with the information you're provided. So I thought that was like a really, really good way to kind of wrap up that in the business world, that there's several different areas where you show up with a different mindset and can really, really impact the way your operations are handled.
Yeah. And I think the reason why we both feel very strongly about this is because we see very regularly the power of great leaders and people, those who lead themselves to lead others, and the ones that don't, and the very real consequences of that. The companies that can build a lot of trust, they move very strongly together, and the ones that don't, and the cultures that they, continue to have. And it's like, oh well, who wants to be a part of that? But that's their choice. It's all that. But it's, there's very clearly a lot of benefit to when you're able to challenge your own belief system, your own mindset around things. And all we're doing is just providing the awareness that this is a real thing that happens. And it's not limited to just you as a business owner. It happens in our personal lives, right? Like some of the stuff I shared was not about business. It was a very personal relationship of things, right? So it exists in all areas. Yeah. And that's the thing about a lot of this stuff. It's not limited to business. It actually impacts all areas of your life. And that's, the business and personal all bleed together.
Yeah.
Right. Like at the end of the day, we don't have this separate life as a business owner and our personal life. It all bleeds together. And that is why we always say, and big proponent of, lead yourselves to lead others. A lot of this stuff is all internal work, but you also have to be aware it exists in you. It also exists in others. So now as you start to kind of work on that yourself, you can then help guide others in their journey. Exactly. So with that, everyone, I want to thank you for joining us on this little bit longer version of Biz Meds. And we packed a lot in there, but I think it is absolutely relevant day in and day out. Everything starts in your mind. And that's where the decisions and the beliefs and all those things start. So we're going to help you with that. So with that, we're Biz Meds. My name is Darius.
And I'm Saad.
And we're your neuroscience business coaches here to give you the minimum effective dose, scale your biology, scale your business, and achieve all your dreams. So with that, Mom, thank you. Love you. Saad's mom, thank you so much. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. And everyone that's joined us along the way, to those that, continually week in and week out, view and listen to us from all over the world, we appreciate you. We want to say thank you. We don't get a great opportunity to interact with some of you, being that you're on the other side of the world, but we do appreciate it. We see you. We thank you. And if you just joined us, share the show. Don't be a hoe. And sign up for the masterclass below. And I keep saying this, but again, this is the eternal testing and measuring of tools that we want to release that are fantastic. So we will have our constraint breaker tool available to you to help you identify the major constraint that you're focused at any level in your business, and the thing that you need to be focusing on to help break through the next level. That'll be coming up. So with that, just sign up for the masterclass. We'll let you know when it's coming out. And remember, you're just one day away from the life you've always dreamed about, and that really starts with one decision. So we're going to see you in the next episode.